Good morning and welcome to the Killik & Co market update. This week we're looking at Microsoft's potential plans to buy TikTok. Now what is TikTok? It's a video sharing app owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, and it has over 800 million active users. So that makes it more popular than Twitter and Snapchat. At the moment, the average TikTok user spends over 40 minutes per day on the app. About 5% of these active users are based in the US, but those US numbers are growing pretty quickly. Initially, it was thought that Microsoft just wanted to buy the US operations of TikTok, but now it's become apparent that Microsoft wants to buy all of the global operations outside of China. So why does Microsoft want to buy TikTok? Well, over the last few years, Microsoft has been incredibly successful at transitioning itself towards being a cloud computing company, and that has made it one of the most valuable companies in the world. Let's have a look at this data showing the biggest three companies on the stock exchange at the moment. In third place, we've got Amazon at $1.61 trillion. Then just ahead of that, we've got Microsoft, and then fairly far ahead, we've got Apple with a value of over $1.9 trillion. So while Microsoft has been incredibly successful, it perhaps does still have a fairly corporate image, and it probably wants to do more to make itself more popular with a younger audience. And that's probably one of the appeals of TikTok, because over 40% of TikTok users are between the ages of 16 and 24. It's probably also true that Microsoft wants to have more of a presence in social media, because at the moment its only presence in that space is LinkedIn. Whatever Microsoft decides to do, it's now going to have to move very quickly, because yesterday Donald Trump signed an order banning certain Chinese tech companies from operating in the US, TikTok included. Now, if Microsoft were to buy the US operations of TikTok, they would move all of the US user data out of China, and that is Trump's problem with the issue, and that would solve the problem. However, Microsoft only has 45 days from yesterday to make a decision, so we can expect a yes or a no from Microsoft by mid-September. Also this week, we've had the latest forecast from the Bank of England with their latest predictions for the UK economy. There has been some concern about UK unemployment and how it could rise when the UK government's furlough scheme ends in October. No one was expecting a particularly positive update from the Bank of England, but I think it's fair to say that yesterday's update was not quite as negative as what some people had expected. In the Bank of England's last update, they predicted an unemployment rate of 10%, but in this latest update, they had lowered that number to 7.5%. To put that into context, let's have a look at what our unemployment rate has done over the last 20 years. So here's the chart here. You can see that in the years following the financial crisis, the rate rose to just over 8%, but at the moment it's just below 4%. So the Bank of England is still predicting a fairly significant rise from the current level up to 7.5%. The Bank of England has also decided to leave interest rates on hold at their current level of 0.1%, and this will come as a relief to both savers and retail banks, because there had been some concern that interest rates could drop to negative levels, and this would have been particularly bad news for retail banks. These banks make money by lending money out in the form of loans, and if rates had dropped to negative levels, it would have made it very difficult for these retail banks to make a profit. So no doubt there will be some signs of relief, but you can't rule out the possibility of negative interest rates still happening in the future. And finally this week, the oil company BP has published more detail on its plans to lower its carbon emissions and to become less of an oil company and more of an energy company. So as part of its plans, BP hopes that its investments in low carbon energy will increase from around $500 million per year today to around $5 billion per year by the year 2030. It also hopes that its renewable generating capacity will grow from around 2.5 gigawatts in 2019 to around 50 gigawatts in the year 2030. And finally, it hopes to grow its numbers of electric vehicle charging points from 7,500 to over 70,000. So these are really quite big moves from BP, and they will require a lot of investment. And that is one of the main reasons why BP has taken the decision to cut its dividend by approximately half. Now, this will come as very disappointing news for income investors, but for environmentalists and ESG investors, it will probably be seen as a very positive step. Now, moving on to have a look at next week, it's looking fairly busy in the corporate calendar. We've got results out from Chinese tech companies Alibaba and Tencent, and also from wind power company Ørsted. That's it from us. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.